Yes.
Okay, perfect. أهلا وسهلا فيكم كلكم. صراحة ما بعرف اليوم شو قصة الإنترنت وشو قصة النتورك. I just noticed إنه أغلبية البيوت ما عندها واي فاي مزبوط. So thank you so much for all who joined. I received many messages إنه people can't join because of electricity. So I'm recording the meeting and we will be sharing the talk with our youth. Now I will leave the floor for Nada Swaidan, the program manager, in order to welcome Yusr and introduce the youth.
نادين الكونكشن عندك مش كتير منيحة. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining today. بعرف إنه في كتير ناس عندهم مشاكل بالإنترنت وبالكهرباء والمشاكل كتير كبيرة عنا نحن عم نواجهها بلبنان. وثانك يو كتير ليسر يلي هي she was able to join us today to give us this she will give us this motivational talk. Yusr, thank you for accepting our invitation. للصراحة نحن بلبنان كتير عم نكون بأوقات كتير عم نكون كتير داون وعم نحس حالنا إنه نحن مش قادرين نكفي لقدام. كونك أنت you are passionate about empowering teams your work. نحن كتير حابين نتعرف عليكي أكتر ونعرف أنت شو عم تعملي to motivate the youth و keep your high spirit. So نحن we are looking forward هلأ لنسمع منك أكتر على الإكسبيرينس تاعيتك وناخد منك tips how we can be always motivated و how we can work on empowering youth. Yusr, you are most welcome.
Program.
عم تسمعوني؟
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Yusr, you are most welcome. ونحن the floor is yours. We're looking forward to learn from your experience.
Thank you, Nada. Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, Hani, for inviting me to be giving this talk. It's I'm very proud to be among you all. وكتير انبسطت قديش في إنه في a lot of people that are attending in spite of كل ال issues وكل يعني ال problems بالconnection وبالكهرباء etc. I want to start. I have prepared some slides, but before I want to start by saying إنه we're all going through the same thing. يعني كلياتنا عنا all of these ups and downs. وأنا كتير بحب أوصفهم إنه هن they are basically like waves. So بعتبر الdays اللي عم نقطع فيهم هن مثل الموج. They are like the waves that we are riding. So some days we are on the upside of the wave, and then sometimes وقتها I feel like really down usual. الأشياء that هيك it bugs me أكتر. I feel demotivated. I consider it it's just the downside of the wave and it will pass. This is what I always tell myself, it will pass, and then I try to focus على الأشياء that on a personal level make me happy. They keep me going. مثل small pleasures of life, small things that bring us happiness. It could be a small workout. It could be that I like just to try get myself into a positive mood and then remember basically why I'm doing what I'm doing and what the purpose is. وكمان another thing, and this is just as a هلا أنتوا عم تحكي خليتيني أفكر with these things. إنه كمان I always try times, and we tend to forget this, إنه I feel this way. I have a choice. I have a choice of whether I want to stay or not stay in this country, like many people around. And I know it's becoming much more difficult to stay here and see every شيء غلط فيه أو like sorry to say it sometimes and it's like a failure إنه نحن we are staying here. No, أنا بقول if I decided إنه I don't want to be here, if I want to make that choice, then I will work for it. And if I decide to be here, then I will also work for it. وإذا I cannot change هذا الشيء, I will change my attitude at least. يعني at the basis of things, I will always have the choice of what attitude I will be taking. And that is why إنه
يسر ما بعرف إذا بس عندي بس your voice is lagging. Can you change your connection? يسر
ايه كمان عندنا.
ايه Nadine, can you send her a message to change her connection?
يلا يلا.
Do you hear me now?
Now better.
Yes, هلا better.
بس كنت عم تحكي أشياء كتير مهمة.
ايه وما سمعنا يا.
Yusr, I can hear nothing.
Same from my side. Let me ask her to unmute herself.
لا too much اليوم الكونكشن too much.
بعدكم عم تسمعوني؟ Yes.
لا هلا عم نسمعك. يلا go ahead.
Okay. Shall I repeat?
بس صراحة كنت عم تحكي أشياء كتير مهمة. إيه عن الويف إيه please.
Okay. I will just start by saying three main points basically. First, I tend to approach الأشياء أو days like waves. So بالنسبة لي when I am مثل الwaves اللي في عندهم positive part أو the upside of them. بالأيام اللي I catch myself feeling down for example أو feeling demotivated أو بحس إنه things are getting on my nerves أو they are upsetting me ما عم بقدر to have a positive outlook. دغري I say okay it seems that I am on the downside of the waves. It is not forever, it will also pass. So, and having that in mind, behold it down times, what I try to focus on are the small joys in life, يلي الحمد لله بحس بعدنا بقدر to be doing them in spite of everything that is going on around us. Small joys of life could be هيك a meal that I enjoy, or a movie that I would like to watch, or a workout to do. And holy usually شوي they هيك uplift me, and I try to remember I try to remember what keeps me really going, and I try to change basically the conversation that I am having with myself in my head basically. So that is the first point. Let's confirm and you can hear me well.
Confirm.
Great. The second point that I felt that needs to be shared is that كمان a reminder for all of us إنه we have a choice at the end of the day. دايما عندنا choice. That is مثل the last إذا everything is taken from any person and every human كل شيء rights عنده إياها, everything is taken. The one thing that remains is his choice بالattitude that he approaches life فيها. And starting with concept of choice, and I'm one of the people that decided to stay in the country. And I really understand how it feels seeing everyone leave, and sometimes you question your sanity, is that I'm doing the right thing or not, or is that I'm losing that, is that I am missing out on other opportunities, or is that it indicates I'm not ما بعرف, I'm not as driven as other people, whatever. These are questions that we ask ourselves. But then I remind myself that this is a choice that I made for many reasons, and that I also have the choice at any point to pursue another option. وحتى إذا I felt إنه I cannot, even if I want to and I cannot, at least I can change my attitude towards it. I really try not to have a victim mentality إنه يا الله وأنا شو عم بيصير فيي etc. لأنه this really turns us into miserable people, and that I try to fight دايما. I think I had a third point, but I kind of lost my train of thought. I have some slides prepared for you. I will share my background. I'll try. Great. I'll try Maktir to dwell on the company part, but just to walk you through it quickly, and then more about how we've operated in times of crisis, and Heike, some 2 cents I would like to leave you with.
Okay, great.
Allah يستر الconnection هلا. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay, so again, thank you for having me. Just to give you a little bit of background about who I am. And I'm originally a graduate of electrical engineering back in 2006. بأول my career, I was employed at a company where I was part of the maintenance department. So my main experience is in operations and maintenance, which is a lot of groundwork. In 2014, I quit and I set up my first company, Wakilni, for facility management. We also do operations and maintenance for private projects, basically. Towards the beginning of 2016, the partners in Wakilni wanted to take it to outside of Lebanon, and it was the first time we tried to expand outside of Lebanon, and we went to Egypt. I really disliked the experience. It was very difficult on me, and for me, it is one of the very big learning experiences that I had. I learned a lot from it. We closed down the company recently, the one in Egypt. And in 2016, and I've always had the idea that I wanted to create a concierge service, basically a business that offers private drivers for individuals in Lebanon. And that was the start of Wakilni back in 2016. However, along the way, I came to realize that actually there is more demand, or the business makes more sense if we actually targeted businesses, or we offer the same service to businesses as opposed to individuals. And this is what we do today. We provide logistics services, and I'll explain what that is, to businesses, online stores, as well as individuals. We focus very much on SMEs, and on small and medium-sized businesses that work in e-commerce, and the businesses that sell online. And the services we offer them include pickup and delivery, storage. So a lot of these, some of these businesses store their products with us. And when they do, we offer them fulfillment and packaging. So we prepare their orders in order for them to be ready for delivery. And more recently, around 2 years ago, we started doing international shipping through a strategic partnership with DHL. And last year, we also launched a service and partnership with one of our partners that we also support these small businesses in their content creation. So we help them develop their photography, their videography, and everything they need in order to help them market their products. And we're currently developing our marketplace, meaning it will allow you all to actually go online and view all the businesses that we deliver for, and you can directly order through the Wakilni app. Through the marketplace. We're launching it before the end of the year, inshallah. Some of the businesses we deliver for a large number of businesses, and a lot of Lebanese brands that we are very proud of, and regional brands also. This is how we have built basically our name. It's really built on the service that we have provided to our clients and word of mouth. And in the first few years of the business, we didn't have any budget in order to do marketing, neither digital marketing, wala advertising. We purely focused on delivering very good service, and we purely relied on people referring our service to their friends, to their family, to people within their community. And this way was the way that we grew our client base. And when we started, we literally started with 4 clients. I still remember the weekend that I spent just doing research online. That was back in 2016. So 2016, ما كان كتير دارج Instagram. Majority of the businesses, they were selling online over Facebook. I spent a full weekend on Facebook researching businesses selling online in Lebanon. I built a database over Excel with all of these businesses, and then we spent the week cold calling everyone. That was the only time that we did cold calling ever. Out of those calls we were able to land 4 clients basically. And that was how we started. Today we deliver for over 3,000 businesses. Coming along the way and not from the start, we built our technology recently in between 2018 and 2019. And this to tell you, and we don't have a very typical story for startups. When we started, we didn't have funding, we didn't have technology. I didn't even have someone on the team that does development work. We didn't have a CTO. All that we had was a service that I knew was needed, that we were being asked to provide. And we were a group of a team of very dedicated people. 2 people on the team that started with us have remained with us till today. This is the level of dedication that we have on the team. And when we started, because we didn't have our technology, because we didn't have any funding to build it also, we used third parties. So we used platforms that were already found on the market. However, along the way, we were able to raise money, we were able to build a technical team, and today we have a technology that consists of a back office portal for the team and the clients to use. We have a driver's app, a client app, and we also have built APIs that integrate with the websites of the clients. So this is just to give you a snapshot of what a client portal looks like. We offer dashboards, reporting, tracking, and feedback for the service. For me, as much as technology is important, as much as growth is important, I always go back to the people aspect of the business and the team aspect of the business. And I believe truly that the challenge is always knowing what the balance is like. And for us, we have 3 pillars in the business. They are technology, scale, and people. We considered our team to be the driving force. When we started with a team of literally 4 people. Then along the way, we grew it. I took this picture back in 2016 or 17. I was super proud that we had 5 drivers on board. And today we have exceeded 190 people. We have offices in Beirut, Trablus, Saida, and Sur. And what brings the team together today, and this is not just words that we use, it's really the values that we try to on daily basis live by and be up to, basically. And the values that we have all together chosen to represent us today are: we believe in client partnerships. So we see our partners as these small businesses, not just as clients, but we are their partners. We need to be supporting them in their growth and their journey to growth. We need to be always offering them services that allows them to go beyond the state where they are today. We believe innovation is very important. We believe in agility, and that has come to play a very big role throughout crises. We have something that that bonds us together, and we call it a tribal mentality. So basically, we don't consider ourselves only a family or only a team. We consider ourselves as belonging to Wakilni's tribe. And when we talk about tribe, it means that we expect the best out of each other, and at the same support one another fully. We hold each other accountable to the best standards. And finally, and a very important value of ours is empathy. And this we try to practice on a daily basis, whether among each other or whether with the clients. So to tell you a little bit about some of the crises that we have went through during the past few years. So in 2019, Yusr Sabra, and basically we in one day, we've previous to the revolution, we had not stopped operating a single day except on like the major public holidays, and even on Sundays, even though we officially closed, but at many times you would find us at the office or working. So when the revolution started, and we had to close down for, I think, the first day. I remember on Saturday, I was sitting at home, feeling on TV, just watching TV, and feeling like I wasn't sure what was happening, what was going on. Should I be joining the streets or not? Anjad, I had no idea what was going on, but all I knew, all I was thinking of is that, okay, all the team is now at home and we're just closed. And when you are a business owner and you have like a payroll to be making at the end of the month, where every single revenue counts, it's very stressful. It was a very stressful time, and I couldn't just sit still. So we had the idea to actually support the revolution in our own way. And what we did was I contacted the team and I asked them who would like to volunteer on volunteer basis to just support people that wanted to go down to the revolution but didn't have a way to do. So we had them in the transportation and we were going to offer it for free. It was based on volunteer basis from the team. And actually a lot of the team volunteered for that, and it got us back on the ground. It got us back at the office, and at the same time we were taking part in the movement that was happening on the streets. And for me, it was an extremely fulfilling experience. It was also for the team. We felt like we had some kind of impact on the community. However, during the same time, and because deliveries stopped, the business basically really shrunk. We lost at that point 70% of the volume that we were making, and we were already struggling to make ends meet at that point. And I was at a real dilemma. We didn't have the needed financing. It was, and that kept me awake for nights. Like I would sometimes lay under the covers and go on LinkedIn and search for job openings and just to see, okay, what is my plan B, or if things really go bad, what can I do? And I went back to the team and we did brainstorming sessions of the different scenarios that we could be doing in order to help us through that period. And someone came up with the idea of, and actually that someone is with us attending this session. So someone suggested that we do a crowdfunding campaign and we ask for funding basically from the community. And that's what we did. We filmed a video sharing our story. We filmed parts from how the team works. We put it all together. It was an in-house initiative. And then we posted it over Zoom. And we were asking for $50,000 basically. And when I did that, I got a lot of calls from my friends, from the community, from my clients. Some people were saying, bravo, I was supporting us, etc. And a lot of people were telling me, معقول, it's not something to be shared, or ما حدا بينشر هيك غسيله in this way, etc. And for me, it just felt like the right thing to do at that point. And even though we weren't able to raise $50,000, we only raised $5,000 from the campaign. However, two angel investors reached out at that time, back in 2020. They reached out and we received $150,000 in angel investment from these investors. And that really put us back on very stable grounds. Several months later, another angel investor, and a substantial one, reached out after also by mistake happening to pass through the video that we had posted. And we were able to raise enough money to support us for a couple of years moving forward. So the message that I'm trying to say is that sometimes just being straightforward and open and vulnerable in certain cases and sharing things as they are and asking, not being shy away from asking things. You will get rejected in many cases. You will get people that criticize you for just criticizing. You will always find people criticizing. But from my experience, being transparent, and in some cases, like showing vulnerability in certain places, it attracts the right people to you. August 4, Beirut explosion. So our offices, they are located in the Doura seaside. In 2019, we had built what we were very proud of is the Wakilni e-commerce hub. And alhamdulillah, katir khair Allah, on the day of the explosion, nobody got seriously hurt. A majority of the team was at the office. We sustained a lot of physical damages that we were able to refurbish. But what really, as everyone else, I'm sure, we got really hit in terms of our morale, basically. And I remember the day after the explosion, I couldn't get out of bed. And I received a call from the team. Actually, I received pictures from the team. These were some of the pictures that I received, the first two pictures here, telling me that نحن تحت and we are cleaning up the space and come down. I literally did not, Anjad, I don't remember cleaning a single piece of glass from the office. It was all the team's effort, and they got us back on our feet the day after. And then a few days later, we joined also the efforts in cleaning up the apartments in the Jemaizi area. Again, I always go back, and what I want you to be seeing is the people element of all of this. In all of these crises, this is the element, this is the common factor among all. Coming into the COVID era, so around March last year, when COVID started really becoming, and it was becoming clear that it's going to be a major epidemic, I was really scared for the team. I was really scared for the clients. I was very worried that our work would be helping in transmitting basically the virus. And we took the decision that in order to ensure the team's safety, we're going to be shutting down our operations just after Mother's Day, because Mother's Day was a peak season and a lot of the small businesses that we deliver for depend on it. And that's what we did. We shared an announcement across all the community, all the clients that we're going to be closing down. I received a lot of requests after that from the clients, from the team. Please don't close. We really need you. Now we need the delivery service more than ever. The team needed to be working for their livelihood. And so I had to reverse my decision. And that is also another point that I want to make, that sometimes we make decisions ومش عيب إنه نحن نرجع نغير رأينا. It does not, many times our ego stands in the way of changing our minds out, just admitting that maybe the decision at that point was not the best one. I could have made a better decision, and then going back on it and then taking a better one. And that's what we did at that point. So we decided to actually focus, instead of closing down, to focus more on the precautions that we would be taking with the team. And we managed a bit throughout the period up until November, even though we have a big team. Back then it was around 130 people. We managed to get through November without having a single case on the team. Then November came, and we started having cases on the team. And here we went into crisis mode, basically. I remember the first cases that we had in COVID, I felt extremely responsible towards everyone. And that's another thing that we have to deal with as leaders, is that we have a responsibility towards our teams. And we put in place a series of actions to be taken. And I forgot actually to mention that also throughout COVID period, we had to support a lot the drivers. So the management team had to, in many cases, go down and deliver themselves. We started working on a partial work from home schedule, because we are in operations and because we're dealing with packages and with cash on delivery. It's very difficult to be operating from home. We didn't have that privilege. So it happened on rotation basis. And then at some point during COVID, we were visited by the police, and I got a call. I wasn't at the office. I received a call from the team telling me that the police are there and they're forcing us to close down the offices because we do not have the needed approvals to be operating, even though we're a delivery service. And apparently the approvals were only given to food delivery services, but not to non-food. And we don't do non-food. We don't do food services. So again, big problem. What do we do? The team again came up with the solution. So they suggested that we rent out temporarily a warehouse nearby, and that we operate undercovers for a while. And that's actually what we did. We were able to rent a much smaller space than ours. We shared it with another company. And at 5 a.m., the team, with no uniforms whatsoever, they went into Wakilni before anyone was up, and they moved the packages from the office to this temporary warehouse. And we operated for a couple of weeks without any uniforms, without any Wakilni branding, really literally undercover, until I managed to go from one person to the other, trying to figure out how I'm going to get the right approval for this. Because in this country, no one tells you anything. No one gives you any direction. No one gives you instructions on how to go about it. Even if you want to go to try and go about it the proper way, which we finally figured out a way to reach Al-Muhafiz and to get a letter approved by him. We had to showcase or we had to share our cause and why it is important that we remain operational, because we are supporting these small businesses that today, instead of opening their shops, they have to operate online, they have to maintain their revenues, they have to be making money, and we are their support system basically. And that is what that is what allowed us till today. We still operate using this approval basically. So my 2 cents, simply, it's really all about the people. And I want to ask you what you think the role of the leader is. If anyone would like to share. Yeah, empower.
Yeah. Please drop your answers in the chat box so Yusr can read them.
So empower, definitely. Adapt, yes. Lead by example. We definitely need to be living what we are saying. We need to be building resiliency and building sustainability for our businesses. We need to be, in some cases, fast decision makers, and especially in times of crisis, we have to be making calculated decisions. And I really like the one that is humbleness, and I want to stop at that and say that I think humbleness and empathy go hand in hand very much. Consistency is also very important. We need to be leading in the times of crisis, inspire, show integrity, manage, definitely management, but I think it goes way beyond that, and to motivate and to secure stability. All of these are true, and I'm going to touch on basically almost everything that was mentioned. But as a start, I want to just say and highlight that even before starting to talk about leadership or leaders or etc., I want to this is a statement that I always go back to, and it is that the purpose of life is really to be happy. And this is maybe one of the very few things that all human beings have in common, that everyone, regardless of how they achieve it or what path they choose, everyone is just really seeking to be living a happy life. And when you look at people from that perspective, in every single way in every interaction that you are dealing with, it really puts things a little bit into perspective. And to build on it, there's actually years of research that show that happiest people are the ones that feel that they are living a meaningful life, and that these are the people that are engaged in their pursuits. And you find a lot of rich people, for example, if it's just like if we're just stuck in the concept that happiness comes from money or just from the materialistic things, you'll see a lot of rich people just really not knowing how to or where to be spending their money, just wasting time through life, etc. And you find that people that are pursuing meaning in their life are actually the ones that are truly happiest. And this is basically, for me, the purpose of life is to really matter and to know that you have made a difference in people's lives. And when we talk about people's lives, it doesn't have to mean an entire population or an entire thousands of people. No, sometimes is that you know that you made a difference to one person's life is enough to really feel fulfilling. And this for me is what really keeps me going. And I feel privileged that through the company that I've been building for the past few years, I have a team around me. I have people whose my actions is able to influence and is able to make them lead better lives, basically, or it feels like a privilege. It's not just, it's an opportunity to actually be leading a meaningful life within this group of people, this community, this tribe that I belong to. And that is really an important opportunity. And that is what really keeps me going day to day. So for me, work is not just about a paycheck or a job. It's truly about the experience, and it's about the overall quality of life. So I shy away from things like work-life balance, etc. Yes, I've worked long hours for the past several years. I worked around the clock. I worked weekends. I worked holidays. I missed out on a lot of social life, and I'm not preaching this. This was my choice. This was my way of building this. But along the way, it wasn't a struggle for me. And no, I'm taking away time from other things. No, because Anjad, at the core of it, it wasn't work. It was something much more meaningful that I was building. So this is what I'm trying to say, is that you can be happy through the work that you do. And specifically existing and working in times of crisis are the best opportunities to be able to make the most impact. It is in these times that people need us the most, and it is at these times that we're able to make the most impact. We have the best opportunities for that. And I wish that global leaders, all of the leaders, and this is what we look for actually, indeed, this is what I look for, is to actually be thinking of how we are advancing the well-being of the people and the planet that we belong to. More empathy, more perspective, because at the end of the day, I believe that the role of the leader is to actually be helping people reach their natural best. It's to create the environments that they need in order for them to reach their natural best and for them to really flourish. It's beyond just the word empowering. It's not an on-off button that you put in people. It's not this way. It's even beyond motivation. And it took me a lot to understand that concept also. We're creating the right environment for people in order for them, if they are motivated, to reach their best and to flourish the most. So all these crises that we went through, we survived them because of the team and because of the culture that we have been working on building. And just a few pointers before wrapping up. I want to tell you that it's not too early to start thinking of these things, even if you are still a very small startup, even if you are a team of 1 or 2 people. It's important to start having these conversations. It's important to be aware of all of this. When we started as a small team, we were people focused, and when we were a medium size, the team was at 100 people, we were people focused also. And now that we have grown, we're still people focused, and we will always be this way. Really understand and take the time to really understand your mission, your vision, and your values. These are not just words that we put on the walls. It took us several years to really understand what are the values that bring us together. And when we talk about values, each one of us as a person has their own personal values, and then you have the organizations or the company's values. And we try as much as possible to see how the people that fit in our team are those whose personal values are aligned with the company's values. And this really reduces conflict in many cases. It means that we see things in similar ways. I found this to be very important. What is also important is to start, all of this also starts with recruitment. This is very important. It's picking the right people to join the team. And here is the alignment of the personal values with the company values. And I tell you that for us, we have, even when we were a very small startup, the way that we recruit people, we focused a lot on that. It wasn't just, okay, I'm going to put a job description out there and then I'm going to interview a person and then, yalla, this is the offer and they join the team. No, it's a more intricate process. So we focus on what we are putting in the job description. We mention in the job description that we are looking for people that are, for example, willing to work long hours. We say things as they are. We know what it takes to be on this team. We don't shy away from saying things as they are. We know that not everyone will be excited to be applying to this job. We believe that a lot of the skills that are needed as technical skills, they can learn them on the job, but we cannot teach people the right attitude to be on the team. So that's the first thing, is how we write the job description. And second, when we do before calling people on interviews, we send out an email with 3 standard questions. One of them is, 2 standard questions. One of them is we ask them to take a small MBTI. It's a kind of a personality test. It's just for us to understand, are they extroverted? Are they introverted? Are they thinkers? So just to understand that person more. And we ask them what they think about empathy. Why do we do this step? For 2 reasons. One is that a lot of times, even though people apply for the job, they never end up replying to this email. And this automatically shows who is serious or who is not serious, who will take the time to actually fill them and who wouldn't. And second, it also gives us an idea of how this person thinks, how they communicate, etc. Then we call them in for an interview, and if they make it through the interview, before sending out the proposal, we invite them to have a full discovery day in the company. So they come and they join us for a full day. They do rotations on all the departments in order for them to actually meet the team, to understand the culture that we are in, to see if they feel that they can fit in this environment, if they would be happy in this environment. And then upon their confirmation, and some people actually apologize and say, you know what, it looks very stressful here, or I don't, we figure out a lot of issues on this day. And if they say, no, I really loved it, then we send out the offer. And this helps a lot in retention, actually. Someone said consistency in the comments, and that's, I really believe that's very important. Being consistent in the messaging, in the messages that we always share, being transparent. Keeping promises is extremely important. When we tell our employee, or when we tell one another, basically, I'm going to do something, it means I'm going to do something. And if I cannot, or whatever happens, I'm transparent about it, and I share that information also. And we say thank you. We remember to say thank you. مش حاصل تحصيل. Yes, people are doing their jobs, but at the same time, it makes a huge difference for people to know that they are appreciated. هيدا الكونسبت اللي كان موجود من قبل، إنه إذا واحد ما عجبه يفل ب10 بيجي مطرحه. This has no place among us at all. We really we try to make sure that people know that they are appreciated. When we are developing the team, we have what we call a leadership pipeline. So we try as much as possible to grow the team from within. And some examples of those include some of our top managers started out with us as entry-level officers. Today, our operations manager was a customer service officer at day one. Our operations supervisor in the north area was a driver with us. Our warehouse manager that is today starting out our operations in Jordan was a driver with us. And when you choose to go this path, it means it means a lot of investment in the people. It means a lot of investment in not just the technical skills, but also working with them on growing on a personal level, on learning how to manage their own teams. And it means that we need to spend time. And it takes more time. But these are the people that really end up building the entire company. And these are the people that remain loyal to the company. Another thing that we do is we measure happiness. And we do that by, I didn't forget you. So I have one of the team here. She's our client partnership manager. And she also started with us as an operations officer. As a customer service officer. We measure happiness, and basically we use a platform. It's a free platform that is called Heart Count. This is like a screenshot of it. And through Heart Count on weekly basis, it sends out 3 questions to the entire team by email. It asks them how the week has been going, and then 2 other questions that are relevant to their general mood. And this way, we are able to keep track of what is the general attitude towards the company, towards one another. What are the areas that we need to be focused on? What are the things that are bothering the team? What can we improve? And it's important to say that we've maintained these even through the times of crises, even when a lot of things are happening. Even though this could feel like not a priority, it is a priority. Because at the end, what keeps you going, or what gets us through is the team. We try to always be doing the right thing. We have, from day one, we hire from all nationalities proudly. We hire Lebanese, Syrians, Palestinians. We make sure we offer without discriminating in terms of pay. We have women that are part of the drivers' teams. We have people that have disabilities on the drivers' teams. And for us, this has also been very essential to growing the right culture between us. And one final thought is that when we talk about culture, values, all of these concepts, when we talk about personal growth, it's not just the management team. It's also down to the people that are on the ground. In our case, it's drivers. In other businesses, it could be technicians. It could be whatever that group of people that in many cases are overlooked or we don't focus on. These are the key people, honestly. And these are the ones that عن جد can make the most impact too. آخر شيء, make sure that you are enjoying it and loving it. When it doesn't feel like it is enjoyable, when it doesn't feel like you can be happy through it, don't fight it. It means just try to explore why and explore other options. It shouldn't be feeling like an errand that you are doing. Thank you very much. This is what I have had prepared, and I am more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
يعني يسر واو يعني عن جد you gave us tips أول شيء to how to stay motivated and how to be leaders and continue in our startup أو حتى develop our startups. I'm sure that most of the participants today لأنه they are change makers and leaders and their communities, they benefited as much as I did. ما بدي أخذ كتير من الوقت بس عن جد I was impressed and thank you very much for this session and for all the information that you provided and the tips that you provided, very beneficial. And to be very honest, I'm gonna listen to this session again. Thanks Nadine وهاني to make sure that this is recorded and shared with other participants اللي ما قدروا to join us. And I leave the floor to the participants to ask any questions لأنه عن جد this is something so beneficial لنا.
Nada, if I may add something to what you said, Yusr, أول شيء عن جد thank you كتير for being with us today. مش بس علمتينا نحكي عن ستارت ابس، لا أنت علمتينا نحكي اليوم عن true leaders. شو يعني تكون الواحد يكون leader بالكوميونتي، شو يعني عن جد الواحد يكون change maker و operating under crisis. وميرسي إنك قررت إنك ما تفلي. عن جد عم نخسر كتير talents بالبلد، وفي عالم كتير عم بتفل seeking for new opportunities and new maybe حتى challenges to face بس إنه outside. So thank you so much.
أنا بس بدي أعلق على هذا النقطة اللي هلا أنت قلتيها. Yes, a lot of people are choosing to go, بس عن جد at the same time I look at people around us in the world, بتشوفي إنه في many people that are looking for places to go to, بيتركوا بلادهم اللي مرتاحين فيها ليروحوا على بلاد فيهم crisis لحتى يساعدوا لحتى يحسوا إنه they are doing impact. نحن ببلدنا is where في هذا demand already موجود. We are needed here, and for me, as long as I feel that I can still make a difference even within my small community, inshallah يعني, I do not intend to leave, even if we're trying to pursue work outside in order to make sure and we're able to sustain the business, to make better pay for our team. But the core is that our country still needs us.
يصير 1000% مثل ما قلت. في شغله هلا نحن كمان صرنا عم نقولها لليوث الموجودين معنا بالبروجرام. قبل بالسنين اللي قبل كنا كتيم نحكي انه لا, we don't want them to leave, we don't want them to implement their dreams in other countries, let them implement in Lebanon. بس تعرفي هلا نحن شو صرنا عم نقول لليوث, if you think that you are finding better opportunities or finding something you can go and come and give back to your country and pay back to your community, that would be perfect. Go outside, اتعلموا temporary, ناخد اللي بدنا ناخده من برا، بس يا نساعد بلدنا من برا يا نرجع ونساعده لبلدنا هون، لأنه لبنان عم بيخسر تالنت كتير. بس حتى في عالم هن وقاعدين برا عم بيقدروا يساعدوا لبنان أكتر بكتير من ما هن وقاعدين هون. It was very obvious من بعد explosion بيروت ومن بعد explosion عكار، حتى هلا بالإي businesses وبالalternative businesses اللي عم نشوفهم كل اللي عايش برا عم بجرب يساعد لبنان بأي طريقة كانت. So it's not like إنه don't ever leave. بالعكس أنتوا إذا حاسين opportunities, please go ahead. Just don't forget your country, don't forget your community, and pay back to Lebanon, of course. So thank you for 100%. Highlighting. So now we'll leave the floor for our youth. We'll take the first question from Tala. I would like to ask you how you deal with negative feedback from a customer, since customer service is such an important thing to focus on.
Tala, are you a customer that you had a negative experience with us?
لا أبداً.
فرح قلبي لأنه نخبركم شيء.
لا
لأنه this is a nightmare for me honestly، خصوصا إذا أنا مثلا I meet someone like أنت وكلني، أنا بمسك قلبي بإيدي بقول شو عاملين معكم، شو مخبصين معكم. So I tell you إنه أول شيء when I was starting to بالearly years of Wakilni I used to take it to heart very very كتير كنت أتضايق وقت يجي any negative feedback on us. So I spent years أنا 2000 يعني لحديت until I got married يعني earlier this year I used to spend every day not less than 3 or 4 hours, and again I'm not preaching this, but this is how I used to do it, going through every single WhatsApp message that we have received on that day from the clients in order to make sure that we didn't upset anyone. And at one point I had to realize it's impossible to be doing that, and we will be حيقطع أوقات where we're not perfect. Previously I used to get involved in everything and عن جد resolving. More recently we've restructured the company. We now have a proper client partnership department. It's headed by Ala, who's among us today, and we have set in several policies on the different negative feedback that we could be receiving. And one, we try as much as possible to really remain very transparent. I'll answer also Karen's question. We try to remain as much as possible transparent with the, and as a something that is wrong, we really try to explain whether it is something that we could have يعني شو الكوست تبعها. One example is more recently we had to increase our rates significantly. We've never increased them هالقد sharply, but because of the fuel crisis we increased our rates ×4. And that really outraged the clients extremely. We received a lot of negative feedback during that period, and we were trying to inform everyone, and at the same, it was very stressful, and we received a lot of negative feedback there. One, we tried to share as much as possible ليش we are doing this. We tried in certain cases where we felt it is needed, or we try usually to compensate. We've done a lot of free deliveries. We've done a lot of gifts where we don't care about how it affects our bottom lines. That's one. Second is we always go back and we try to understand what went wrong and what we could be doing better and what is the cause of it. وعندنا كتير مثل policies. يعني مثلا إذا إجا a complaint on a driver, for example, it automatically puts in place مش بس okay we check this case, but we do a full quality check on the driver for the past 10 orders that he has delivered, for example, to try to see if that was a special case ولا it was a trend and we have a bigger problem that we need to deal with. So we try to remain objective on that end. Sometimes it's really it really gets to us. So we have a kind of a system is that when let's say a client is upset and we are his account or her account manager is not able to deal with the problem, they raise it to client partnership manager. The client partnership manager is also feeling that okay, I'm receiving a dead end, or this client I'm not able to. نحن among one another, we have like a system where we ask our teammate, حتى لو it's not their direct duty, is to support us in handling this complaint, basically. So that is how we approach it. And when customers don't give us feedback at all, what we do is we monitor the active and inactive clients on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis. So we see which clients have not been invoicing for the past week, and we give them calls. Even if there are 100 people, we give them calls and we ask about the service. We do this also as we noticed a drop in the number of orders they are placing with us. Also, we do on a quarterly basis a survey that we send out, and we collect feedback from it and we learn from it. We share with the team. We do like a survey that gives us feedback on the accounting team, on the customer service team, on the drivers, on every aspect of the business, basically.
Thank you so much, Yusr. Now we'll take from participants who are raising their hands. Riwa.
Hello.
Hi,
First of all, really thank you so much for YLP for setting up this talk. I'm sure it's very beneficial to a lot of us here. And thank you, Yusr, for sharing all your experience here. I'll just go back to the point of where you were discussing of employment in Lebanon and all of this. I'm talking here from a person that is not currently in Lebanon, but I'm working for Lebanon, and and for like, and the end goal is to be back to Lebanon, to contribute again to Lebanon. But there's something that I like a tip, not a tip, like something that I received earlier, and I would like to also share here with you, is that we understand that there's like, it's hard, it's challenging to find employment here in Lebanon, and it's not that easy. But this where comes the time where like, because there's void, there's needed to have something, and this is our place now to create this something. No, it's no need, like, it's not easy. It might be challenging, but because there's no jobs, then we can create our own. We can create our own ideas when we need to develop things. So this is a way of thinking also that can help us, and that can help us just move forward. I just wanted to share this with you. I hope it will be just an insight for any one of you here, like thinking of leaving Lebanon, although it's sometimes the right thing to do, and there's like, we can't say no for this, because as Nadine said, it's a time where they need to explore outside in order to come back with greater minds, greater initiatives. So I just want to drop this here.
I fully agree.
Thank you so much, Riwa, for your feedbacks. So we'll leave the floor now for Rayan. وإذا ما بقى في أسئلة, we'll close this session. Okay, so Mbala, بعد في one more questions from Tala. يلا Rayan, go ahead, and then we'll take Tala's question. Rayan?
You can hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Nadine, for facilitating this alongside Nada and Hani and all the YLP UNDP team. Yusr, I'm really impressed with your experience and all the path you've been through. And I'm inspired by one quote that reflects all what you have achieved. We fell down 7 times and we get up 8. And that's what we build, what builds us as people. And for this reason, I want to ask you this question. What are the tools that we can develop in order to build our resiliency and our team resiliency, since we work with many people, and we met a point, we are meeting a point now where we need to stand by each other and build this solidarity. And what are the other instruments that we can employ in order to build this growth mindset inside a team or our community?
صعب سؤالك. It's heavy. I'll tell you, في 2 parts. في part on a personal level, I would say. One is عن جد واحد يكون عنده real awareness of what you are feeling, what truly, like being aware and conscious of yourself, your thoughts, شو عم تقول لحالك, what you are feeling, acknowledging it, naming it. يعني أنا today I feel كذا because كذا. This is important. نحن لأنه it's a time of a lot of crisis. Already بلبنان we live a chaotic life. It's very easy to forget to stop sometimes and just understand نحن عن جد how truly we are feeling and where we are من the path that we want to be on. And that takes, أنا مثلا for me, I'll give you, I'm not, you know, I cannot give, I'm not in a place to, or I don't even know of all the tools. I'll tell you the tools that worked for me. And تقريبا 2 years ago, I started to do yoga on daily basis, and that has really helped me. I have been on a streak for تقريبا 2 years on daily basis, and that helps me pause. And I literally used to يعني go by the day ما حتى أحس ما بعرف كيف يبلش نهار يخلص النهار. Sometimes we really need to stop, think, pause, give ourselves that time, and always be aware of the voices that are in our head. هذا on a personal level. And then second is how we are with people, how we are interacting with the people around us, and how we are قديش we are communicating, قديش we are showing true humility, قديش we are showing true empathy towards people, قديش we are يعني قديش we are really operating from a place of, and this is a dear friend of mine always uses it, قديش we are operating from a place of love versus a place of fear. And that is really important. وأنا for me a lot of times I give you one tool that I use is I want to hear about tools. I don't have time to read, but I have time to listen to books. When I'm in the morning getting ready, etc. I read a lot of, or I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I can share several titles, several books that have helped me a lot. They have كل واحدة a takeaway in certain ways, and this is how I keep myself growing. I keep myself learning new things, even though I'm very busy during the days, but at the same time I want to be learning new things from other people, getting new perspectives, new ideas, and that I found very beneficial.
Thank you so much, Rayan and Yusr. One last question from Tala. Where do you see your company in 5 years from now? Typical question maybe for you, Yusr.
We're currently expanding into 3 markets, inshallah. We're expanding into Dubai, Jordan, and Cyprus, each one in a different model. Hopefully we'll be expanding into other markets. My end goal is not to be selling and quitting. Hopefully I'll be doing more impactful work. We're not only doing delivery services, we do a lot through the delivery services that we are. Hopefully we would have diversified into other services that through it we'll be able to be making even more impact.
That's amazing. شغلة واحدة أنا نسيت أقول لك إياها يسر. أنا مرة من 2 سنين كان في ورقة لازم أجيبها كتير ضروري من المستشفى لماما. وكنت بالمكتب وعندي ميتينج. كنت عم بقول مين قادر يروح يجيب لي اياها، ما كان في حدا قادر. قالوا لي بعدك ما سمعتي بوكلني، شركه وكلني قولي لهم يطلعوا في ورقه باسم نادين اذا فيهم يوصلوها على المكتب بالداون تاون. يسر honestly you saved my life وقتها، لانه كنت ثاني نهار تقدم الثانيين. من وقتها أنا سمعت بوكلني و ever since we've been receiving أكيد deliveries through وكلني على غير قصص. يعني غابت القصة عني 2 سنين، بعدين صرت أشوف وكلني عم بيجيبوا لي القصص اللي طلبتها. عن جد شابو با على all the work that you've been doing. و honestly نحن عن جد محتاجين لهيك inspiring women and leaders in our community. و I hope that you YLP got inspired as much as Nada and Hania and I got inspired, and of course all the partners with us. Yeah, so Yusr, thank you again and again. وإن شاء الله بنبركي هيك نرجع بنشوفك again بتوكس مع YLP Lebanon.
Thank you so much for having me, عن جد. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yusr.
Bye.
Thank you, and have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye everyone. Have a nice weekend.